Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Maria Flynn. I'm the principal of the Design Academy, and I'd like to thank you for joining me and taking this time to find out about our landscape and garden design courses. I believe passionately that if you're serious about becoming a landscape and garden designer, you will not find a better way to achieve that goal. All of our courses are delivered online by e-learning, and again, I think it is the best method of learning today because it just allows you to fit everything around your schedule, so the course centers around you and not the other way around. So I'm going to start by making a very bold promise to you, and this is a promise. We can help you to become a professional landscape and garden designer, and I don't care where you come from, what your background is, and whether or not you are good in traditional school. All of that is irrelevant. If you're willing to put your time and resources into learning how to become a professional designer, we will help you to achieve that goal. We've done so with thousands of people already, and if they did it, you can too. In addition to this, I'm going to explain how you could be ready to work in the garden design industry in less than 1 year from now. If this is something that you've been thinking about for a while, you could honestly be achieving your dreams and working doing something that you love in less than a year from now. Because of the way that we've structured our courses, you could also even earn more than the cost of the course before you finish it. So the purpose of this webinar is to really explain all about that. I'm going to explain how the course works, fees, and the application process. So let me ask you, how do you feel about that? Are you ready to start this journey with me? Because it is an exciting journey. And are you as excited as this little guy here? I couldn't resist putting this image in because it just makes me want to smile. And all joking aside, this could be the start of a massive change in direction for your life. So it is something to truly get excited about. Just one thing I want to point out before we begin is that we are not in the business of selling courses. When we have new people that start working with us, one of the first questions I ask them is, what do we do? And they always look at me with a kind of puzzled look and say, well, you sell courses, you run courses. And I say, well, no, actually, that's not what we do at all. So once they've gotten over their initial shock, I explain to them, what we do is we train people to become professional designers. Every member of our team is passionate about design and passionate about adult learning. And our primary goal is to break down all the barriers that exist to stop people from coming into the design industry. There is a huge amount of talent out there. We want to make it possible for anyone who wants to become a professional designer. Now, the mechanism that we use to do that is actually the course, but I see the courses as just a tool, just a mechanism that we use to help people to become professional designers. And I feel it's important to point that out from the very beginning, because I think that's what differentiates us from every other course provider that you'll come across. Putting that aside, anytime that you enroll on a course, you want to make sure that you're going to get recognition for what you have achieved. Professional skills and the ability to do a job well are actually far more important to success in the design industry than any academic accreditation. But any course that you choose must be academically accredited if you're going to get full recognition for what you've done. In order to get full recognition for your course, you need to study a course that is academically accredited. And what that means is any course that you choose must have a university credit value. Without that, your qualifications simply will not travel with you. So we have all of our courses also accredited. We offer a HNC, and that stands for Higher National Certificate in Landscape and Garden Design. And the HNC is equivalent to 120 UK university credits, and that is 32 US semester credits. This also equates to the first year of study at a full-time university. The other course we offer is a HND, and that stands for Higher National Diploma in Landscape and Garden Design. This is 240 UK university credits, and that's 64 US semester credits, and this is equivalent to a foundation degree or an associate degree. So the purpose of this webinar is to explain to you about the courses themselves, what they mean, and how you'll get recognition wherever you go in the world. But also to show you the content of the courses and to give you examples of students' work so that you can see what we do on a continual basis and what we can help you to achieve if you do enroll in one of our courses. I also want to explain to you about our scheduled courses which are starting in October, which start and end on a particular date. They're still delivered entirely online, but they have a firm schedule with weekly live webinars. And a lot of people find this is a really helpful way to stay motivated and on track for the entire duration of the course. So let's get started. Okay, let's start by looking at the HNC in Landscape and Garden Design, and that stands for Higher National Certificate. And you can see just from the diagram here that this is a course in its own right, but it also forms the first year of our HND and of a full BA honours in Landscape and Garden Design. So it has an academic credit value of 120 university credits in the UK, and that's 32 US semester credits. So again, it's equivalent to 1 year full-time study at university, and as I've just said, forms the first year of our HND course. So to summarize in here, there are 20 lessons. Each lesson has a learning assignment, and they're approximately 12 to 15 hours. You've also got 4 projects that will require additional time. So you can comfortably complete this course within a year. You could actually complete it in slightly less. You are given up to 18 months to complete the full HNC. Most students would complete it in approximately a year. Now, we don't have time to go into everything that you're going to learn, but we've created 6 broad categories, and these are very broad. Not everything fits perfectly neatly into them, but it's just to give you a general overview of topics and the lessons that are within them. So the first is visual communication, then garden style, hard landscaping, plants, planning your designs, and professional practice. So rather than keeping you here for hours on end explaining all of the lessons, you can take it that the 20 lessons fall briefly within those broad categories. So let's take a look at the first one, which is visual communication. The thing about any type of design, and landscape and garden design is no different in this respect, is that you can't really judge it until after the work has been completed. But that doesn't necessarily help you at the very beginning. And to actually win a client's agreement to go ahead with the proposal, you need a way of visually communicating your ideas. So there's a number of ways that you can do this. We use something called mood and sample boards, and these are very good at the early stages in a project when you haven't invested a lot of time, just to get a general feel for the client and be able to actually visually interpret maybe some of the direction they're giving you, because they may describe something that they want verbally and it could be completely different to the image they have in their head. So one of your roles at the beginning is actually to tease out the picture that they have in their head and what they actually envision as well. So we use mood and concept boards to do this. And if you look at these 2 examples, you can see that the top one is quite a contemporary design. And this is, something quite more natural, more like a country style garden. And even though you can't see the details, it's just to communicate the concept. And I think you can get a feel for the type of style that is trying to be communicated. And that's all that these are about. They're about communicating a concept quickly and easily. And these are all different examples of student work that we have here, and traditionally these would always have been done by hand. There are digital tools available now which are really useful as well, and you'll learn how to do both methods and how to choose between them, when is appropriate, at what stage in a project, etc. Now, plans and scaled drawings are another key part of your visual communication. As design tools, these also fall under the category of professional practice, but we'll get to that a little bit later. The number one question that we have with this course is, I can't draw, I'm not able to draw, I don't feel confident in drawing, will you really be able to teach me? And of course, the answer is yes, because we actually teach everybody. And, the vast majority of people enrolling on this type of course have the same concerns, and particularly about drawing. The beauty about technical drawing is that once you can hold a pencil and a ruler, you can do it. And again, you will start with very basic shapes, quite square or rectangular shaped gardens. And then once you get comfortable with them, then we'll build on the complexity. And there's 2 main types of drawings that you'll cover in this stage of the course. And It's plans, which is like an overhead view, and also elevations, which is a vertical view. And the beauty about all of these is that they are strictly two-dimensional. You don't show any type of depth. This is a front view of a bench, and this is the side view of the same bench. So we'll teach you how to start to look at things in a two-dimensional viewpoint. And then once you actually get that, it's actually very quick and easy to do these drawings. And in addition to doing scaled drawings, there will be times when you'll need to do something on site, on the fly. And the more experience you get with scaled drawings, the more comfortable you will become with freehand sketching. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're not talking about fine art here. We're about communicating your design ideas. And for that reason, our main priority is to teach you quick and efficient ways to communicate those design ideas using plans and elevations. So we're going to take another look here. This is another elevation, and in addition to communicating your ideas to your clients, these can also be used to give very clear instructions about the layout and the positioning of various hardscaping materials to your contractors. And this one here on the left is a specification. So it's a drawing that acts as a type of instruction to your contractor. And this one here on the right is a presentation drawing, which is to communicate the style to your client in the hopes that you can get approval for the project. And the drawing here on the right is also what we call rendered, which is basically the designer's term for colouring in, because it's not strictly colouring in. It is about making it look like authentic materials. So you're actually communicating the type of materials and products that you're going to be using in your design. But once again, our aim here is to teach you the most efficient way of doing this so that you can actually get on with the design, because at the end of the day, there's very few of us that want to be artists. We want to get on with the actual task of designing. So trust me when I say that we will literally take you step by step through this process. And all of the examples that I'm showing you here are all different students' work. And the one thing that you can actually see, I haven't used the same student more than once. And the reason that I'm doing that is just to show you everybody has the same concerns when they're starting off. Will I be able to do this properly? And when you look at these, you could be forgiven for mistaking these for computer drawings, but all of these have been done by hand. Now, computers play a very large role in design today, and we use what we call CAD, which is computer-aided design. However, we don't cover CAD until stage 2 of the HND if you take the full HND program, because to be honest with you, it's not used as widely in landscape and garden design as it is in other types of design. And to be perfectly honest with you, the type of two-dimensional drawings here, which are just plans and elevations that you will do on the HNC, which is also stage 1 of the HND, will be more than sufficient for this level of design work. So if we go back to our list, you can see we've covered an awful lot there, and we've still only talked about visual communications so far. But we've still got a lot to get through, so let's move on to the next broad topic, which is actually all about garden style. The secret to really producing a great garden design is to have an underlying style that holds everything together in balance. Now, the images on this slide and the actual board here, which is a student's assignment board, represent formal garden style. And we can all see these are elements of a grand style that we would normally associate with a more stately home. It has very distinctive components. However, if we look at this, this is a contemporary garden style. But then, so is this, and so is this, yet they're all quite different. So there's a few aspects to this section of the course, and the first one is to be able to identify different key styles and what are the main visual elements in a particular style, but also then to be able to identify the individual components that make something work or not, as the case may be. A lot of people are attracted to this course because they've had a certain level of success in their own gardens at home. If you haven't, it doesn't matter at all, because we are going to start from scratch. But if you have, I want to ask you, were you actually able to explain ahead of time why your ideas were going to work? Could you explain your ideas to another person and even to yourself? If you're like most people, the answer to that initially will be no, that you go based on intuition. But there's a lot of limitations to that approach. First of all, when you're designing for clients, you need to be able to justify and explain your ideas quite clearly. in order to sell them in the first place. And secondly, to a large extent, if you can't quantify what works and why, then you're not going to be able to replicate a successful design. And then the last thing that's equally important is that you probably have a style that you favor yourself, but if you just limit yourself to that particular style, you're going to have a very limited client base. So you need to be able to work with all different types of styles and work with all of them successfully. So all of that is covered in this section of the course, and we'll also cover the language of design. Now you're wondering why I have a picture here of a doctor. Well, the truth is that every industry has its own type of specialist language and vocabulary. So medical professionals will use terms like cardio, bronchial, and pelvic to refer to very specific parts of the body. Musicians will talk about crescendos and altos and quavers. And all of this can sound like a foreign language to us, but to their colleagues, they understand exactly what the other person is trying to communicate. So designers have their own vocabulary too, and the terms that we use are much more common, but you may not be used to using them in this particular way. So if we look at this example of pretty traditional fencing, I can tell you here that because it's all upright, this shows vertical stress. And particularly when you compare it with the example here on the right, you can see that this is actually an example of horizontal stress. And let's look at one more image where here we see an example of rhythm and progression. Now the reason I'm telling you this is not because I want to sound good, but I just want you to understand that when you have this vocabulary and language, you can actually use it to pick apart any particular style. And rather than looking at something and saying, yeah, that really works, but I don't know why, I can't put into words, you will have the vocabulary to pick it apart and dissect it. And when you can do that, you can actually create any style of your own choosing on demand. The real beauty of language is that every word has its own distinctive meaning, and with this comes insight and a deeper level of knowledge and understanding about a particular subject, in this case, garden design. So let's just wrap it up there on the topic of garden style, and let's take a look at the next broad topic, which is hard landscaping. So hard landscaping actually refers to the structural elements or components of your garden design. Usually we think about boundaries such as walls and fences, and also horizontal structures such as patios or decks. In most garden design projects, the hardscaping will account for 60 to 70% of the total budget. And more often than not, it will be a permanent or certainly a semi-permanent feature, so it's something that you really cannot afford to get wrong. And doubly so, of course, if you're spending your client's money. So let's take a look. And we'll start by looking at a couple of examples of fencing. So here we have a traditional picket fence. Here we have another kind of rail and post fence. This is a chain link fence, but these are all different types of fencing. And if I bring back the image that we looked at earlier, you can even see that even within one type of fencing, there are so many different variables. So these are both examples of wooden fencing, but they have completely different effects because of the way that they've been structured or ordered. The visual details of any particular choice are obviously very important with regards to the style, but don't forget that hardscaping features have very real functional and practical requirements. So boundaries may be needed to keep certain people in, like children and pets, and to keep unwanted guests out. And then there's important considerations such as maintenance, how much work is involved and how much cost is involved in the upkeep of a particular type of hardscaping structure. So during this section of the course, you'll explore all the different possibilities and all the different options that are quite widely available. So we'll start with boundaries, and of course then we'll look at all the horizontal surfaces. So we'll look at decks and patios, paving, pathways, and even the seemingly small details like edging. If you get these things wrong, they can really mess up your design, but if you get them right, it's the difference between having a garden design that looks pretty good and one that looks really amazing, completely harmonious and just congruent. Coming back to maintenance again, one of the key features of a good landscape and garden design is thinking ahead and planning for long-term maintenance. So if we look at the example in this image here of this type of granite type edging, you can see that it's slightly raised above the ground level. However, if this was depressed so that it was even with the ground level, it would be very easy for a lawnmower to glide right up to the edge of it. Whereas in this example here, you'll have to use a different tool to cut the grass right up to the edges here. And learning to design is really about planning and problem solving. So this is just one example of planning ahead and avoiding unforeseen problems in the future. And there's no way that we can cover every single eventuality on this course. That's not possible. But what we will teach you is a way of looking at things and thinking. And the key to being a really good designer is to be able to think about, foresee things ahead of time, and then plan around them. So we've talked about 3 topics so far, and we've still only just barely scratched the surface. So I hope this is starting to bring the curriculum to life for you and starting to help you see what is involved in it. But you could be forgiven for getting a little bit confused or possibly even overwhelmed at this stage and thinking, my goodness, this is going to be so much information. Where do I start? So for now, I'd say to you, don't worry, we will get to that point. But having an infinite range of design ideas and possibilities to draw from is what will enable you to create a different design for every single client. Apart from that, it's what makes the job so interesting and fulfilling. So let's go back to our list, and the next thing we're going to talk about is plants. Finally, you say. Let's face it, a garden is not a garden without plants. So even though it just takes up one line here on our list of topics, this is really quite a large area of the course. But it's worth pointing out here that our aim is to train you to become a landscape and garden designer, not a horticulturist. A lot of people are attracted to this course because they have a passion for plants in the very first place. If you are one of those people, that will absolutely contribute to your success. But even though plants are a very, very important element of a garden design, they are still just one of the major components, and they have to be selected in accordance with everything else that is part of the particular garden style or design that you're trying to create. So in this section of the course, you'll be learning a methodical approach to plant selection. You're going to look at the main varieties of plants available and then evaluate their appropriateness for given situations. For example, sometimes you'll need to choose plants that are child and animal friendly. Some people will want a beautiful garden, but one that's low maintenance. And then you'll have others who will want year-round variety and color. So you'll start to explore plants as design features in terms of their actual size, their scale, their shape, and of course how they need to be cared for and maintained. And when we're talking about plants here, I'm referring to everything from lawns and ground covers up to trees and shrubs and everything in between. The absolute most fundamental, critical factor to take into account when you're choosing plants is choosing plants that are right for the conditions, for the climate, for the microclimate, and for the type of soil. So all of those things are covered in this topic. And you'll also use the opportunity to investigate the best type of plants for your particular region, so that by the time you actually complete this course, you'll have your own visual reference file of a wide variety of plants, and you'll be able to choose them confidently. One of the biggest rookie mistakes when it comes to creating planting plans is not to plan for the future and the full mature size of the plants. If you're designing a garden with very young plants, they can look actually quite bare or sparse when they're first planted, but this is only because they haven't had time to mature. And if you overcrowd them at this point, you'll end up with a big mess in the future and they won't have room to grow. So we'll give you a methodology for going forward and being able to narrow down your choices. But also what's really helpful here is your planting key, and you'll learn how to develop these. And basically it's a list of the different plant names, the quantities, the sizes, and this will always be accompanied by a planting plan, which will show exactly how the plants are going to be positioned. And in theory, at least, this should enable your whole design to be implemented without you even being on site. Another thing about the planting plan is that you actually draw the plants at the mature size. So even if you're looking at a newly planted flower bed and a client might look at it and think, my goodness, that looks very, very sparse, you can actually show them in your planting plan that it might look that way now, but even within 6 months, it's going to be a big difference. And they just have to be patient and wait for it. Now, there will be some clients who won't have the patience to wait and they would prefer to spend the money and buy more mature plants, and that's perfectly fine as well. And that brings us very nicely on to our next topic, which is actually planning your designs. The main difference between an amateur and a professional garden designer is that a professional garden designer will plan every detail before they commence a project. This quote has actually been attributed to lots of different people over the years, but I think Benjamin Franklin was the first one to say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So by this stage in the course, you'll have already learned how to use all the different tools that will enable you to plan gardens effectively. And what you need now is a clear strategy that you can apply to any garden design project. The best place to start any project is at the beginning. And so your starting point will always be to assess what you have to work with and what are the parameters of the design. So you'll start by learning how to survey gardens, how to measure different gradients, and you'll explore all the things that you need to take into account when you're planning a garden design. In addition to the surveying of the site, you'll also need to do a needs analysis. Now that sounds quite complicated, but really it's just a questionnaire to get the information from your clients about what exactly it is that they want from the outdoor space. You'll also use this opportunity to ask your clients what their priorities are. Most of us expect a lot from our gardens. We want a place for entertainment, recreation, a natural oasis, but usually without much maintenance. And then of course there's always practical considerations. We may need an area to dry our clothes, or to store refuse bins. One of the great things about this type of needs analysis is that it helps you to cut to the chase really quickly and edit through the vast array of possibilities that you have. Instead of being overwhelmed by all the choices you have, this will help you to immediately narrow down those choices and find the best options for your client. This analysis is taken through to all aspects of your garden design project, including the plants. You need to look at what's already there, if some things need to be kept, what type of planting will be most appropriate, and of course, what is going to work with the existing soil and climatic conditions. You may need to improve the soil content before you can actually put any plants into a garden. In new housing developments, there's often a very limited supply of topsoil, and that may need to be bought in. Once you've done all this preliminary work, then it's time to get to the drawing board, quite literally. You'll always start by drawing up a plan of the existing garden and then using that as the basis for developing your design ideas. You'll learn how to overlay bubble diagrams over your plan and use these to map out the different areas of your garden. After that, you'll develop different shapes and layouts, and then you'll really develop all the details of your garden design. The whole purpose of this is to give you a very clear strategy for approaching garden design projects of all shapes and sizes, so you can design gardens that perform as well as they look. So we're almost through the curriculum for the HNC. The last thing that we need to look at is professional practice. Every aspect of our courses is designed to really prepare you for a career in the landscape and garden design industry. So career planning and mapping out the path for yourself is an intrinsic part of this course. By the time you're about 3/4 of the way through this course, you'll start to have a feel for the type of work that you really enjoy and maybe some of the things that you don't enjoy so much. We'll show you how to do a SWOT analysis, and this stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You'll then use this information to explore the different job opportunities available and see what would be the best fit for you. Whether you want to seek employment or work as an independent freelancer, our aim is to help you set yourself up for success. You'll also explore different ways to present yourself and your work, so you can choose a way that highlights your strengths and also suits your personality. At this point in the course, you'll have already gained all the fundamental skills of landscape and garden design. And now you'll learn how to bring everything together so that your design ideas can be implemented exactly as you envision them. Something that differentiates landscape and garden design from other types of design is the need for an establishment plan. Your garden designs are a testament to the quality of your work, and you want to make sure that they stay looking as good as possible for as long as possible. One way that you do this is by creating a maintenance calendar for clients, so they can easily see what gardening tasks need to be done and when. If you do decide to work for yourself, you may actually find this a good source of regular income. And of course, it's a way for you to personally oversee the upkeep of your design. We'll finish off this section of the course by looking at how to deal with customers, how to provide quotes, and how to choose contractors. So that just about sums up the curriculum for the HNC in Landscape and Garden Design. It has been a bit of a whirlwind tour, but I hope it's just made everything a bit more real for you and given you some real insight so that you can decide whether or not this is the right course for you. So ultimately, I hope you can see that you will get very practical skills and knowledge from completing this course. Even though it's an academically accredited course and it's higher education, we've really focused on the practical aspects. And we work hard to make this course as enjoyable and creative as possible. One thing that will be really key to your success is the ability to work to professional standards. You've already seen a number of examples of work from different students on this course, and they all started from scratch with no previous experience or knowledge. We really want you to be successful, and it's not enough just to learn the skills. You need to be able to perfect them so that you have professional standards. That way you can really hit the ground running. Committing to a course like this takes your resources, both your time and your finances. The rewards are so well worth it, but you want to make sure that you get full recognition for what you've achieved. Currently, we don't know of any other fully accredited landscape and garden design course, unless you want to attend college full-time, that is. The fact that this qualification carries with it transferable university credit values means that your qualification can travel with you wherever you may go in the future. So if you've been thinking about this for a while, just ask yourself this: in less than 1 year from now, you could be working in the landscape and garden design industry. How would that make you feel? Another one of the beauties of our course structure is that you can continue your studies and achieve a full HND in landscape and garden design. We'll discuss the curriculum for that in a few moments and explore just why you may want to consider that course. But first of all, let's look at the pricing options for this HNC in Landscape and Garden Design. Let me just reiterate that this is not just a course. This is actually a fully interactive training and coaching program, and our focus is on helping to train you to become a professional garden designer. The tool or mechanism that we use to do that is actually this course, but it is not like other courses. In spite of that, we work really hard to keep our prices as low as possible. In the past, design has always been a rather elitist industry, and we want to ensure that anyone who wants to become a professional landscape and garden designer can do so at an affordable price. So, let's look at our prices. Our full payment price normally for the self-paced course is £2,994, and at the current exchange rate that equates to $3,947, and that's US dollars. If you decide to enroll on the full HND course at the outset, which includes stage 1, which is the HNC that we've just discussed, then it's £5,694 or $7,497. And again, that is based on the current exchange rates taken from this website. Now, we do have installment plans available, but I haven't put them up here simply because this page will be just full of numbers. Also, we have a really exceptional offer right now, but it is only if you pay in full. So I think it's best to have just these prices here so you can make an effective comparison. These prices are actually for the self-paced online course that you do at your own pace as and when you want to. Now, we are actually introducing a scheduled course which is going to start on the 18th of October. In addition to all the usual resources, you'll have a live online webinar weekly with your tutor and with the same group of students that will progress through the course at the same pace as you. If you think you'd benefit from the additional motivation of having a schedule and having deadlines, then this could be perfect for you. Normally, these scheduled courses cost more than just a standard self-paced course, but because this is the first time that we're offering the Landscape and Garden Design course as a scheduled course, we've got an exceptional offer. And until the end of the month, which is the 31st of August, you can actually pay for this full course for just £1,994. So it's a saving of £1,000 on the HNC self-paced, and you're getting an extra benefit from being able to get the scheduled course as well. You can also, just for this one time, pay in US dollars. So regardless of what the exchange rates, if you are based in the USA or Australia, anywhere really outside the UK in the Eurozone, you can choose to pay in US dollars. And the price for that will be $2,629. Now that is only if you pay in full and only if you are one of the first 5 people to enroll on the HNC scheduled course before the 31st of August. We will also be offering a scheduled HND so that you will continue on naturally again. This will take a full 2 years to complete, and the full payment price for that at the moment is £3,694, or in US dollars that's $4,847. So again, you can just see that the saving is absolutely huge. If you've been thinking about this course for a while and maybe money has been an issue for you, I really hope that this makes it feasible for you. I understand that it's not exactly small change, but we have tried to make it as much of a no-brainer as possible. I have no doubt that the course will pay for itself many times over. Just please be aware that this offer will not be extended beyond the 31st of August, and also it is only applicable if you pay in full. There's no negotiation on that, sorry. So I'll show you how to enroll in just a minute, but first of all, let's just take a look at the differences between the self-paced standard e-learning course and the scheduled course. And by the way, I can see questions coming in here at the moment. So if you've asked a question here about the pricing, about how you can enroll, how you can pay, don't worry, I'm going to get to that. I'm not ignoring your questions. I can just see that they're coming in and I am going to be answering them within the next couple of minutes. So with e-learning, you access everything online through your computer. The beauty of it is that you never miss a class or lecture. You can completely work it around your life. Even if you have shift work where you work 1 week on, work 1 week off, if you have unforeseen circumstances, there's plenty of flexibility with e-learning. In addition to that, we do have a deferral procedure in the case of serious illness, and we even have a maternity policy because sometimes people do need to take maternity leave, and we will freeze your course for a period without penalty. As I said at the beginning of this webinar, we're the only organization that give you learning assignments and graded assessments. It's a lot of extra work. That's why most places don't do it. But this is what helps our students to achieve the professional standards. And as you already know, you get personal feedback on every single assignment. We've really used what we call a building block approach. In every course itself, that one lesson will build naturally and progress on the one that was previous to it, and also on the courses, so that if you choose to, you can just do the HNC and at a later stage maybe change your mind and just continue on. You can go straight onto stage 2. You don't have to start again at the beginning. You don't need any previous experience or qualifications to enroll on one of our courses, and that's something that we fight very hard for. Academic institutions love putting barriers up about you must have this or you must have that qualification before you're accepted onto a course. But we are focused on adult learners, and if you're willing to commit your time, energy, and resources, then it's our job and our responsibility to teach you. That is actually why we can guarantee what you will learn when you complete one of our courses. We have such robust systems in place that we know that when you successfully complete this course, you'll have all the skills and knowledge that we describe both in our prospectus and in this webinar. And if you don't get that, we will give you a full refund plus you keep the award. That's an ironclad guarantee, and we can offer it because we know that we do what we say. So this is what you can expect when you enroll on one of our self-paced courses. However, as you know, we are running scheduled courses that are starting in October. Now, there are limited places on these, and let me explain the slight difference between them. You will get access to all the online resources as usual. However, you'll also have a weekly webinar live with your tutor where they'll answer all your questions. There'll be a schedule to stick to, and you'll have certain dates by which you need to submit your assignments. And this will help to keep you on track and to really complete the course within a very specific time frame. It's very helpful if you feel that you lack the motivation to really be quite hard on yourself and keep yourself to a tight schedule. Another benefit is that you'll be progressing at exactly the same rate and pace as your fellow students. So let me explain why that's relevant. You'll always be able to communicate with other students online, and this is a really helpful resource. But most of you will progress at different paces, and it's a little bit more tricky in trying to share tips and knowledge. Because this is a group of students that will be doing the scheduled course and all sticking to the same schedule, you'll be progressing at exactly the same pace. That means that you can pool together your tips and resources. You can partner up and motivate each other. And you can also benefit from peer-to-peer review. So let me just summarize the benefits of this scheduled course. First of all, you have a clear schedule to stick to. You can actually start working in the garden design industry by July 2017. If you do enroll on this course, you'll have very clear deadlines, and our aim is to have you ready to work in the industry by then. We're in the process of developing a number of additional tutorials and online resources, and you'll have first priority access to them. Most people find it more motivating to be part of a group, and you'll also benefit from peer-to-peer review, being able to share your work with others and critiquing it objectively, which we'll show you how, is a really great way of learning. Each week there'll be a live webinar and you'll have your questions answered live, and you'll be able to benefit firsthand from the years of personal experience and insider tips that your tutor has to offer. So let's just take another look at the prices, and then I'll discuss how to enroll, and then we'll take a look at the HND curriculum. So once again, if you choose to enroll on a scheduled course, it won't start until the 18th of October. However, if you enroll and pay in full before the 31st of August, this is the full payment price that you can get it for, £1,994 or $2,629. You can also enroll on a self-paced. If you prefer to do a self-paced option, you can also have it for the same offer, but only if you pay in full by the 31st of August. And if you're already thinking that you'd like to do the course maybe later on, you're already thinking about January maybe, you can always pay for it now and postpone your start date till then, because again, this is an exceptional offer. I just want to mention here as well about our guarantee. We have a very, very unique double guarantee. On standard self-paced e-learning courses, we have two guarantees. The first one is a 14-day full refund. It gives you the chance to look at the course, see whether you or not you think it's for you, and if you're unhappy for any reason, you can get a full refund within the 14-day period. Now, that does not apply to the scheduled courses because we have limited places, and if you take a place, we won't let somebody else onto the course. However, we do guarantee what you will learn. And again, as I said, no other organization does this. We have full confidence in our teaching systems, and we guarantee that if you don't learn everything we described, we'll refund you and you keep the award. But we know that's not going to happen because we know that as long as you're willing to do the work, we will get you there. So there is a discount code that you need to use. It's webinar 0824, and I'll show you now how to enroll. So enrolling on the course is quite straightforward. Just go to our website and click on the enroll button at the top of the page. This will give you a list of all the courses, and just scroll down and choose the course there from the list. You'll see both the HNC and the HND in landscape and garden design here. When you click on the enroll now button, you'll be taken to a page where you need to fill in your information. Please do give us your primary email because this is how we contact you with updates and information about the course. We never ever share your details with anybody else. When you're taken to the next page, which is the payment page, it will show the normal full price of the course. So first of all, type in the payment code that we're providing for you, which is webinar 0824. The prices won't change, but you don't need to worry about that for the moment. For now, select the full price, as this is the only option available for the discounted offer, and select bank transfer as the payment method. By doing this, you can be sure that we can't possibly charge your credit card until we've called you to discuss what option you want to take. So please just scroll down to the bottom of the page and then click Next. To complete the process, just click on this link to open the terms and conditions. Once you've read them, confirm that you accept them and then click the Submit button. Normally, we only accept payment in the pound sterling currency, but for the purposes of this offer, we can accept it in US dollars as well. So the price that you can actually see here on the screen is the price that you will be charged. A member of our support team will contact you just to confirm the course that you want to enroll on and what currency you want to pay in. Please do remember that this special offer for the scheduled course is only open to the first 5 people to enroll on the HNC and the first 5 people to enroll on the full HND. If you're more interested in taking a self-paced course, well then this offer will apply right up until the end of August. From the 1st of September, they will revert back to the normal prices. So you've already seen the pricing structure for the HND, or certainly the offer that we have available at the moment, but we haven't yet discussed the curriculum. So let's take a look at that next. So why would you be interested in the HND in landscape and garden design, and what is it going to give you above what you have already learned in the HNC? Well, first and foremost, it's going to give you the additional skills and knowledge so that you can have full and total control over your design projects. And what exactly do I mean by that? In this image here, we can see that there's a really nice feature here from mixing different materials. What looks like a slightly marbled tile, maybe a travertine tile with some wooden decking. Now, to actually install this into a garden, they have completely different substructures. A decking is actually built on top of a wooden support, a framework, whereas tiles have to be laid on a firm, compacted base. In the HNC, which is also stage 1 of this full HND course, you do actually learn about the different types of materials and how to select them. But there's simply not enough room in those lessons to go into the construction methods. Most building contractors are used to doing pretty straightforward jobs. And in 9 out of 10 cases, the only way that you're actually going to achieve a design like this is to specify exactly what you want them to do. And that needs an understanding of the construction method and, of course, how to do those specifications. Another thing to notice about this image is lighting. We haven't discussed that yet. And that's a major part of all landscape and garden designs these days. And also water features. This is a bespoke design which is completely made to order. Now, it's relatively simple, but only when you know how. Steps and changes of level are also a very important consideration. It's rare that you're going to have a garden all on one level. There'll be times when you need to create different retaining walls and other features. As well as knowing how to do these, you need to be familiar with the building regulations so you can make sure that your designs always comply. Another really good reason for considering the HND is because it opens up a whole new market to you in commercial landscape and garden design. Restaurants and bars, hotels and office parks all have public outdoor spaces, many of which serve more than one purpose. I'm not talking about landscape architecture or town planning here, but there are an infinite number of businesses that need high quality landscaping. Even the drive-thru at McDonald's uses it. There are a few differences between designing gardens for businesses and designing them for private residential clients, and we actually cover them on this course. But the biggest factor is being familiar with the building codes and regulations and having the skills and knowledge to take on that increased responsibility that comes with the role of designing commercial spaces. So if this sounds exciting to you, stick with me while we go over the curriculum for the HND. Now, HND, as you already know, stands for Higher National Diploma in Landscape and Garden Design. As far as academic accreditation goes, it carries a university credit value of 240 UK credits and 64 US semester credits. That's equivalent to an associate degree or a foundation degree. You may also be able to join the final year of a full BA degree program. This works really well for some of the other courses we offer. However, at the moment, we really don't know of any options where you can go on and do that additional top-up year, certainly not online anyway. Most of the degree and master's programs that we have looked at are focused more on landscape architecture, and as you already know, that is a completely different kettle of fish. In saying that, this course is really going to thoroughly equip you for everything you will need to build a really highly successful career. So let's start with a summary of the actual content itself. There are 30 lessons in this course as opposed to 20 in stage 1 of this course, which is also the HNC. And let me just very briefly clarify. The HND course includes both stages. So you can enroll on the HNC, which is the Higher National Certificate, as a course in itself. Or you can enroll on the full HND, which includes the HNC as part of it. It's stage 1 of this full HND course. I can see a number of people have put in questions about can they do the HNC and then do the HND afterwards, what's the difference, and a few questions around that, and I promise you I will get to them during the course of this presentation. It's just that I know that they will be coming up, and it will help you to understand it a little bit more when you see the content and how everything really fits together. So to start with, there are 30 lessons in this stage of the course, and there are also 4 projects that require additional time. As before, each learning assignment will take you approximately 12 to 15 hours to complete. You can complete the full HND in 2 years. Most students take about 30 months, and you're allowed up to 3 years in total. You can get an extension if you need additional time, but there is a fee involved, and to be honest with you, most students don't need it. So once again, we don't have time to go into every single lesson. But there are 6 broad categories that all of these lessons fit into. So they are building and construction, materials, advanced design communication, advanced planting design, project management, and the history of garden design. Let's start off by looking at building and construction. You will literally learn all the nuts and bolts, how all the different features and components within your landscape design are constructed and built. There are some amazing garden design ideas out there that both you and your client are likely to come across. But the only way you can ever achieve something like this, and to do it to such a high standard with a seamless design, is if you really specify every single detail. As I said, most contractors do pretty straightforward building work, and very often their focus is on doing things as efficiently as possible, which can sometimes mean cutting corners when it comes to the design details. A lot of contractors will be meticulous about following instructions, but they just can't think outside the box. And don't worry, they're not meant to. That's your job. So if images like this inspire you and motivate you to make your mark on the design world, you can rest assured that this section of the course will give you the skills and knowledge to bring all of your design ideas into fruition. Drainage is also covered in this section. It's a very practical requirement for any landscaping design. Now, drainage work is usually carried out by specialist contractors, but you need to have a basic understanding of the way everything fits together, so you can make adequate provisions for all the pipework and outlets. Lighting and outdoor electrics also falls under this category, and water and irrigation. So as far as our list of topics go, this only takes up 1 line, but I think you can see just how vast this topic really is. Let's move on to the next one, which is actually materials. As your design projects become more creative, you're going to be working less frequently with products that you can just buy off the shelf, and more often with raw materials. One thing that you'll constantly have to take into account is how different materials react with the weather and the environment. And tying in with construction, you'll need to understand the various production methods. For example, this concrete wall here looks totally amazing, but would you even know where to begin, how to go about building this? And let's go back to an image that we looked at just a few slides ago. Stainless steel is being featured a lot more in contemporary garden designs, but details like these have to be specially ordered and fabricated from a steel supplier. Part of your work for these assignments will be to research the suppliers in your area, so you'll know where to get the materials when you need them, and other important information such as how long it takes to deliver. We call this a lead time. I really get inspired by looking at images like this. How about you? Are these the type of projects you would like to see yourself working on? Time to test if you're still awake. Type into the box that this inspires you and you are motivated. And if you haven't reached that point yet, stay with me because we've still got more to cover. When I started talking about the HND, I said that really the big difference is that it gives you total control and flexibility over your designs. It's one thing to look at some of these great designs, but it's a completely different thing to execute them. And personally, when I have the opportunity to be really creative, it absolutely feeds my soul. So I'm glad that I asked that question because it's actually good to see that you are really with me in person and not just in spirit. John says absolutely. Trisha says OMG, I love it. And there's several other comments and smiley faces coming in. So I know this is a long webinar, but that's because this is a whopper of a subject. And I think it's really important for you to see exactly what's involved so you can make the right decision about which course is right for you. So on that note, let's move on. The next item on our list of topics is Advanced Design Communication. It sounds pretty impressive, but what exactly does it mean? And more importantly, what exactly are you going to learn? As the size and scale of your garden design projects get bigger, your clients will want more reassurances ahead of time, and the best way to do this is to show them three-dimensional visualizations. Also, when you're designing something that's quite different and bespoke, you'll need to provide very clear and specific instructions for your contractors. The best way to do this is with sections and detailed drawings. You'll learn how to draw axonometrics, which are relatively simple three-dimensional views. Looking at these drawings now, you probably think they're anything but simple. But keep in mind that everything that we're showing you in this slideshow is actual students' work, and they all had exactly the same concerns when they first started. All of these drawings are still carried out with a drawing board and a ruler, but the techniques we'll teach you will also help your ability to draw naturally. And this is a vital skill for all designers. There will be times in your design career when you need to work out a solution on site. The techniques we teach you should give you the skill and the confidence to rustle up a quick sketch on demand. The drawing that you see here is actually called an axonometric, and as I said, this is a rather quick and easy way to do 3D drawings, believe it or not. But you'll also learn how to do full perspectives, which give a more accurate and realistic view. At this point, you'll also start exploring the use of computers in landscape and garden design. Naturally, they can help you to work much more efficiently, and there are a number of software packages that could be really useful for you. CAD stands for Computer Aided Design, and the thing about CAD packages is that they can be quite expensive, some of them, and they also may have a steep learning curve. The best package for you will depend on how you plan on working in the industry. So we'll provide you guidance on this and also introduce you to some free and very low-cost software programs to get you started. I've seen a few questions coming in here about plants, and Tony has said in all capitals, "Where are the plants?" Don't worry, that's coming up next. I mean, this is landscape and garden design after all. Stage 1 of this course will give you a very thorough understanding on how to design and work with plants. In this stage of the course, we'll explore how plants can be used as structural components of your landscape and garden design. And you'll begin by looking at swales and berms. A berm is a mound of earth with sloping sides. It's basically a small hill. This berm has mixed plants, but it could just as easily be a continuation of the lawn. These are used for numerous reasons. They're good for breaking up large expanses of lawn and giving more visual interest. They can also help to direct pedestrians or foot traffic, and this is a very important consideration if you're designing commercial gardens. Higher berms can also be used to block unsightly views like car parks or other auxiliary areas. A swale is actually a small dip or valley, and they're often designed to manage water runoff, so they can be an important part of a drainage solution. You'll explore the use of plants as boundaries and noise filters a little bit more deeply than before, and how plants can be used to create small private areas or to completely direct the flow of traffic. Establishing plants in a new landscape and garden design can be a little bit tricky, and problems can often occur because they've been poorly transported and the site hasn't been prepared properly. You'll learn good rules of practice so that you can avoid these problems, and you'll explore different products and accessories that can help to keep your planting safe and secure while they become established. All of this will help you to make objective evaluations about local nurseries and other suppliers so that you can choose people with confidence. To finish off this section on advanced planting, we'll take a look at the new trend towards vertical gardening. And you'll also look at exhibitions and show gardens, and some of the main things to consider if you do decide to go down that route. Okay, everybody, we are getting there. I know this has been a mammoth of a webinar, but I think you'll all agree it's a mammoth of a course, and I have really tried to keep it as concise as possible. So let's move straight on to project management. One of the biggest problems in all types of design projects is the failure to stick to a budget and running out of money. It's a real disappointment for everyone involved if a project isn't completed simply because the budget runs over. But as you're the designer on a project, this can often mean that you don't get paid, and that's really not a good place to be. So this is a rather serious and boring looking image on the slide now, but I found something else that might make you smile. It certainly made me laugh. I have to be honest, I've used this in a few different presentations now, and I still laugh every time I see it. I have no idea who created it, but someone very clever with a great sense of humour. There are some very talented people around. So joking aside, there's actually quite a bit of truth in this. And it's because most clients have very high expectations, but they really have no idea of what the costs are involved in a project. Obviously, you can't work out all the details of a budget until you know exactly what's involved in a project, so it's a bit of a catch-22. But you will be pleased to know we have a solution, and that is exactly what we're going to teach you. You'll learn how to create a reasonably accurate ballpark budget based on the client brief. At that point, you and your client can make the decision whether or not to go to the next stage. And if you do progress further, that's when you create a detailed budget and a breakdown of all the costs involved. Now, please don't worry. If you have difficulties with maths and you can't even add 2 and 2, you don't need that to be able to manage and control a budget. This is why we invented calculators and spreadsheets. So as long as you're capable of typing the information into your computer, we'll give you Excel templates and show you exactly how to use them. Another really important part of project management is the ability to create realistic schedules that contractors can stick to. I know that you can't see any of the details here, but this is really just an order of different tasks and work and how and when they should be completed. Getting this wrong can also have a knock-on effect on your budget, but we'll show you how to do it correctly and also how to prepare contracts and paperwork that protect you and your clients. I find that people on this landscape and garden design course in particular like to be really hands-on, but you cannot do everything yourself. Good project management is about creating realistic plans, producing clear instructions that everyone can agree to, and then monitoring everything to make sure that the agreed plan is stuck to. Sometimes it can be a little bit tedious, but it's not rocket science, and we'll give you the tools you need so that you can keep calm and stay in control of the project, rather than having the project controlling you. So we have arrived at our final topic, and that is the history of garden design. So you'll finish off the course by exploring the development of the landscape and garden design industry. From the gardens of the French Renaissance and the French Baroque period, here we see the garden at Versailles in France, to Japanese gardens and also the flower gardens of India. You'll probably be surprised to learn about some of the things that have influenced landscape and garden design. And we'll take a look at the connection between art and design, from gardens that have inspired art, like Monet's garden here, to art-inspired gardens, as you see here in this Mondrian-style garden. And you'll finish off by looking at some of the current trends and what is predicted in the future for landscape and garden design. So let me ask you, how do you feel about all of that? Is it what you're expecting, or have there been a few surprises? We are getting close to the end of this webinar, but we're not there yet, so just prove you're all still with me, that I haven't put you to sleep, and just type into the box here. Also, if you have any questions at all, please just type them into the box here and I'll try to get through them. There have been quite a few questions coming in throughout the webinar, but I believe that I've answered most of them as I went along. So if you still want to know about something that I haven't covered, now is your chance. Okay, let's talk about our prices. We are commonly asked 2 questions about our prices, and if you've asked one of these questions, you might be surprised to hear the alternative. Because about half of the questions about our prices want to know why our courses are expensive, and equally the other half want to know why our courses are so cheap. So let me give you the answers to both of those questions and at the same time give you the reasoning behind our pricing structure. I'm going to start by answering the question, why are our courses expensive? The first thing is, you have to remember that this is an academically accredited course. Now, I will be the first person to say that that is not the be-all and end-all of everything. And in fact, having a course that's academically accredited doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to do what you want it to do. However, it's vital if you want to receive full recognition for any qualification that you study. In fact, it's the only way that your qualification will be recognized worldwide. So achieving and maintaining that academic accreditation is costly in many ways, and that cost is built into the pricing of our courses. The next thing is that we have incredible resources and student support, and that is what enables us to get people to the high standard that they achieve when they complete one of these courses. I can tell you now that it's impossible to provide good quality support for a lower price. It really is one of those cases where you get what you pay for. Another thing is, as I already said earlier, these are not courses. These are interactive training programs that will train you to become a professional designer. We use our courses as tools or a mechanism by which we actually do that. And I like to use the metaphor of a hammer and a chisel. In themselves, they're just tools. But when you put them in the hands of someone, they can be used to cause damage or destruction, like maybe breaking into a car. But in the hands of someone like Michelangelo, a hammer and a chisel can be used to create outstanding and breathtaking works of art that we're still admiring centuries later. So if your question is, why are our courses so expensive? I will say to you, you will find cheaper courses, but there is absolutely nothing else out there that even comes close to our quality and value. So the next question is, why are our courses so cheap? And I actually prefer the term, why are our courses so inexpensive? And I'd like to give you just a little bit of background information here because it's relevant to the answer. I got involved in teaching interior design in the 1990s. When I say I was given a curriculum to cover, I was literally just given a list of lesson titles and pointed to a classroom. It was entirely up to me how I delivered the training and what I actually put into each lesson. To cut a long story short, I realized very quickly that the quality of any training program was really dependent on the tutor. And the differences in standards are huge, not just amongst different colleges, but even within the same college using different tutors. From day one, I felt that was unfair and wrong. You should be able to enroll on a course and know exactly what you're getting, regardless of who is doing the teaching. I also think that when you study a particular qualification, the results and standards should be the same no matter where you are in the world. And finally, I've always been involved with adult education, because my interior design work takes up most of my time. Anyone working in a college or university will tell you hands down that adult learners produce the best results. It's usually because they know what they want and they're committed to the outcome, whereas a lot of young people who went to college straight from school are often just following a path without necessarily thinking. And many of them don't even really know what they want because they haven't had any real-world experience. What I found in all of the colleges that I worked in is that most of their focus goes towards their full-time students. But adult learners have completely different needs and requirements, and these simply were not being met. Plus, what I found incredibly frustrating was that many people couldn't enroll on a course that they wanted to without first doing an access course. Even now, this makes absolutely no sense to me. If an adult learner wants to learn and they're committed to, we should be able to teach them without them doing a foundation course first. It's unnecessary. And it's a waste of resources, both time and money. So I promise I'll get off my soapbox now, but I just thought it was important because these are the things that drove me and that drive everyone here in the Design Academy. When I started this, I really thought that the quality of a training program should not be dependent on any one tutor, and that even includes me. To take it even one step further, if a training program cannot produce consistent quality results, then it's going to be hit and miss whether or not you're successful, and that's just simply not fair. I love design and I absolutely love learning and lifelong learning, and it is that passion that led me to set up the Design Academy. I knew it needed to be run as an efficient organization, but I'm not really a business person, and I love quotes, as you know, and this one I particularly like, one from Henry Ford, who was incredibly successful. He says, "A business that makes nothing but money is a poor business." He founded the Ford Motor Company, which is still incredibly successful. But he always believed that success would come simply as a byproduct of offering good quality to their customers. Here's another person who really inspires me. There's very few people who don't know Richard Branson and the Virgin brand, and he has been called the hippie businessman. He has become a billionaire, but it's not money that drives him. In fact, he founded his business on 5 key principles. He said that a product or service cannot bear the Virgin label unless it meets all of these conditions. It must have high quality, it must be innovative, it must provide good value for money, it must be challenging to existing alternatives, and it must have a sense of fun. If you've ever read Richard Branson's story, you'll know that he's come very close to bankruptcy a couple of times. But in the face of adversity, these principles have always been his driving force and encouraged and motivated him to keep doing what he does. I also love the fact that he's a bit of a rebel, and he's deliberately gone into industries where he thought the pricing was overly inflated and produced the best quality services at a much more affordable price. So to answer the question of why are our courses so inexpensive, finally you say, she's getting to the point. It's because we follow a very similar set of principles here at the Design Academy. Every now and again we have a meeting about our prices. I don't believe the prices actually reflect the quality of the course, and sometimes that can be a little bit damaging in itself. But one of the things that I find most satisfying is seeing people literally from all over the world and all walks of life become really excellent designers, and knowing that they wouldn't have had that possibility without our courses. So we offer the best possible training at the lowest possible price, and that's the reason why. So once again, here are the prices. I know that you've seen them before, but now that you've seen the actual content of the courses, you will know exactly what's involved, what the prices represent, and it will be a bit more helpful for you to make that judgment call. What I'll do is just leave these prices on screen and start to answer some of the questions that I see coming in here. So one question that I can see has come in from a couple of people in different forms is, can I do the HNC and then go on and just do the follow-up to do the full HND? Well, yes, you can. We've purposely designed our courses so that you can do exactly that. It gives you maximum flexibility. The benefit of doing the HND from the very outset is that there is a significant saving. We price it very competitively. We really discount it for those people who want to commit to that from the outset. Now, this is not about getting you to enroll on the HND course. The thing is to choose the course that's right for you. If you are interested in doing residential garden designs, and that's where your passion lies, the HNC is more than sufficient. Also, we have a lot of people coming to us at a later stage in their life because we specialize in adult learning by online learning. A lot of people are looking for a change of career, and they've gone through that phase where they've already built a big career for themselves. They want something where they have a more creative outlet, but they're not really gung-ho about working around the clock and really making a name for themselves. For some of our students, their priority is to earn a living, and a good living, doing something that they love, and they have a creative outlet as well. If that describes you, then I think that the HNC is a good option. If you do change your mind in the future and you feel that you've absolutely got the bug and you just want to continue, you can always go on and just add on that additional top-up. You'll go straight on to stage 2, so you won't have to redo any work whatsoever. If you already know and you've made up your mind that you want to take the design industry by storm, that you're really passionate and you're very serious about making your mark, in that instance you should enroll on the full HND, the Higher National Diploma. To enroll on just stage 2 of the HND at the moment, it's currently about £4,000. So you can see from these prices, as I said, that we discount it heavily up front if we know that you're going to commit to the full HND. So just a couple of questions that are coming in here. John is saying, what if I fall behind? Will I still be able to continue with the program? What if I can't keep up to date with my work? We're not tyrants, and we know that everybody has a life. The whole purpose of running the scheduled course is just to give those people who need it that additional motivation to really stick to a schedule, and it helps if you've got other people progressing at the same pace as you. The schedule is quite strict, but there is a bit of flexibility built into it. So what I will do is I'll follow up this webinar with an email to actually give you the schedule so you can take a look at it. There are a few gap periods and you can actually use them to catch up if you do fall behind. And Tricia has just asked the question, can I switch to online learning or self-paced if I fall behind? And the answer is no, not on this one. We're giving you a very strict offer about the scheduled course, and the reason is we want people who are serious about it to come onto the scheduled course, because if half of the people drop out, it spoils the dynamics for the rest of the group. So we really want people who are going to be committed to it, and that's one way of seeing that. See a question here about work placement and helping you to find work. We don't actually help you to find work, but what we do as part of the course is help you to map out your career. And your tutor will actually help you to find a career that's best suited to your strengths and, avoid your weaknesses. As you go through the course, you'll find there are certain aspects that you really enjoy and certain aspects that you don't. And the key is to take them and find a role that really suits you in terms of being financially rewarding and also something that fulfills your spirit, because I'm imagining that's why most of you are thinking about doing this course in the first place. You may also be surprised by what you actually do and don't like. Some people absolutely love the technical details. They love getting involved with the specifications and the plans and everything else. Others prefer the more creative aspect of it. And honestly, you won't know until you try. So that's why we introduce this, when you're a good bit of the way through the course, that will actually help you to map a career path, because at that point you'll know what type of work you like, what you don't like, and then you can match your plans accordingly. The one thing I will say is that this industry is absolutely booming, and to be honest with you, this is worldwide at a global level, and there is a real shortage of skilled designers, because up until now the only really comprehensive courses and training have all been horticultural directed, or agricultural, or landscape and urban planning. There hasn't really been anything very robust in landscape and garden design very specifically. And to my knowledge, this is the only fully accredited, and when I talk about accredited, I talk about academically accredited. It has university value, and that's important, or you will not receive recognition. So this is the only fully accredited online course that I know of in landscape and garden design. So I hope that's answered all of your questions. Thank you very much for sticking with this. Just one last thing I can see. Tricia there has said, can I pay half now and half next week? Yes. What I've said to you is I've showed you how to enroll online, and basically you just need to go on. No payment will be taken. So, if you want to enroll today, as long as you make sure that you pay it before the 31st of August, that will be fine. And just make sure that when you complete the enrollment form, you put in all your details, including your phone number. That way we can contact you and just go through all the details and make sure that we've got everything correct. Okay, so thank you everyone for staying with me here, and I hope that this has given you some value. So we'll follow up tomorrow with an email also giving you the schedule for this course, and I'll also send you a link to some portfolios of student work that you can actually see. And meanwhile, if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to come back to us. Okay, so take good care, and I hope to connect with you again soon. You're welcome. You're welcome. I've seen lots of thank yous. Thank you. Thank you very much.